Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell. Pow! Gotta love it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are one of the greatest pieces of fiction ever. Now you might be, telling me, come on, really? Turtles who happen to be teenagers, who happen to be mutants and ninjas? Some of the greatest fictional characters of all time? Yeah, whatever, Super, but I'm serious. It is true. The reason is everyone grew up watching the 1990s original TMNT movie. No, not everyone. Hey, I was born in 98 and I still watch that movie. I loved the Turtles at the time for what it was and how funny it was and entertaining it was, of course. But in my later years, and I still haven't seen that movie in my adulthood, I see how dark it was and how edgy it kind of was. Ever since that realization, I want my TMNT movies and TMNT lore in general to be a little darker, to be a little edgier. And so you can imagine that when Michael Bay produced the TMNT movie that came out in 2014, which had a lot of baggage in development, I'm not going to go through all that, but basically the project was going to be pretty crappy. But thankfully, some things were changed, and then we got the final product. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out in 2014. I have no recollection of this movie. I did not go watch this movie in the theaters at all. I don't remember it at all. I would have remembered. It didn't make a huge, ton of money at the box office, so maybe that's part of the reason I don't think it was reviewing well. I don't think it was in the radar of my sister at the time, who would be the one to take me to watch these movies. So I didn't watch this movie. I wish I had, because the movie doesn't have any nostalgia with me. Like I said, the original 1990s one does. But I love the Turtles, but I want some edgy Turtles, right? I want a little bit of darkness in it. And as you all know, we have this new Teenage Mutant Ninja... God damn it, take a shot every time I fucking say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But we have a new TMNT movie coming out called TMNT Mutants in Mayhem, I believe. Or Mutant Mayhem, there it is. It just came out in theaters, and it's getting very good reviews. I mean, it's getting praised. Produced by Seth Rogen, I believe. I think it's partly written by him, too. I'm not sure. I am not so interested in that film. Am I going to watch it? I don't know. Maybe if it's on streaming or something. But I don't know about me going out to the theater to watch this movie. I just think it's a little bit too child-friendly, which I know is kind of contradicting. The TMNT characters are very child-friendly from the very beginning. That's sort of what it is. I mean, they started as comic book characters. Granted, darker comic book characters, I think more adult. We've known them to be very child-friendly characters, especially because of that 1980s cartoon, and because of the games and whatnot, right? But I'm not interested in watching this film. I think it's, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to go to a TMNT movie to, feel all, childish inside. TMNT, I think that's partly why they're so special, is because they, and maybe it was just the way that the original film was directed, and the way it was executed. But again, the original comics had a little bit a more edge to them, right? So I think it's just from their inception, they were a little bit darker. I think part of it is because they were kind of these vigilantes, right? Like Batman. And there's a reason why Batman is referenced in the TMNT 2014 movie quite a bit. But yeah, they don't really come out into the daylight. They operate at night, and they're in sewers and stuff like that. So the story is not... it doesn't have a lot of bright stuff from the very beginning. And their story is kind of tragic, too, and the main villain is like a dude with fucking, like, piercing weapons, claws, there we go. So it's pretty sad stuff, and the original was, I think, pretty sophisticated in its storytelling. Given that, there's this new animated movie, which I do admit, the animation looks pretty cool. And the fact that TMNT is awesome, and you can talk about TMNT whenever, but there is this buzz around TMNT right now. I figured that I would make a video on the best scene from TMNT 2014, the one that was produced by Michael Bay. And I'm sorry for I know that the movie had a director. I'm sorry, but I know Michael Bay had a huge emphasis, was a big part of this movie happening. And you can clearly see Michael Bay's, fingerprints all over this fucking movie. I mean, It's like Transformers, but TMNT-ified. And in this case, I think it was a good thing. Or it was just a consequence, and the result ended up being good. Because a lot of people do not like this movie. Hardcore TMNT fans don't like this movie. I think even the general audience don't like this movie. I will tell you right now, I watched this movie yesterday. I have it right here. I bought it on 4K because I'm a shill. There it is. 4K, slipcover and everything. I collect movies. That's just what I do. Because I love physical media, and thank God they released this movie. Kind of interesting. They released it, to kind of coincide a little bit with the theatrical release of this animated one. So that's interesting. But it's also because they released the second one, Out of the Shadows, the sequel to this movie, in 4K, so they figured, fuck it, we'll just release the first one. I'm still waiting for the original trilogy to be released on 4K. I would buy that instantly. Given this TMNT buzz, and I really, 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 really want to come out and support this original 2014 TMNT movie. Not original, but the one before this new animated one. I really want to show some love for it, because there were a lot of aspects that I think make it a very surface level movie, for sure. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's fucking Citizen Kane, but it's not garbage, and I think it's really, really good. In fact, I think it's great. And specifically when it comes to the action sequences, it is incredible. I mean, it really kind of drops my jaw, okay? The sound design of the movie, the action in the movie, the choreography, the special effects, the turtles themselves, the cinematography. I mean, it's really phenomenal. It really is. The story, I think it had a lot of potential. I think the execution wasn't entirely amazing, but I think it did a really good job, and I think it, for what it was, I mean, it's a fucking Transformers movie. That's what a Michael Bay produced Transformers movie. That is what you got. But given the story's not incredibly strong, even though it had a lot of potential, I still had a blast watching this film. I can't deny it, and I want to watch it again. I do. I think it is a blast to watch. But I want to talk about my favorite scene from this movie, and it's definitely not a scene that you would expect. Let's watch this scene. It's my favorite scene in the whole film, and it's the main reason why I love it. But here we go. The best scene from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014.
Oh, I think that went well. Pressure stabilizing. Why are we still here playing doctor?
She may have a head injury. Correct. She's a hot chick who may have a head injury, which makes it our civic duty to...
Ma'am? Can you hear me? Do you know what city you're in? Do you know where you are?
Have you seen that video where the cat plays chopsticks with the chopsticks?
Can we focus here?
Guys, please, come on, give her some air.
What are you?
Well, miss, we're ninjas.
We're mutants.
Well, technically we're turtles.
Oh, and we're teenagers, but we can still have adult conversations.
Here. Ninja, mutant, turtle, teenagers.
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous.
See,
It's true.
she's looking at us like we're freaks. I bet that's why you took our picture, wasn't it? Show your friends.
Bro, that's a good thing. Maybe she has hot friends.
Looking for this?
Don't break it. No. Please.
How many times do I have to tell you? We don't break things, we fix them. Donnie already wiped the phone, genius. Problem solved, moving on.
And who put you in charge?
You know who did.
Ooh, tension. It's been like 30 whole minutes since you guys had this argument.
Leonardo, you want to make it home before Master? We gotta hustle.
Do not say a word about this to anyone. If you do, we will find you. April O'Neil. We're on the move, Raphael.
Raphael.
Yeah. We'll find you, O'Neil. I'm sorry, that came across super creepy, okay? We will find you though. That was on fire, bro! You see me back there? Guys, I totally talked to a girl.
Shut up!
Pepperoni.
Oh my god. Just brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. Incredible. I mean, it is just amazing. It gives me chills. It gave me chills the first time I watched the scene. Actually, I watched the scene before I watched the movie, which is kind of blasphemy. I would have wanted to see this movie for the first time watching the movie. But here we are anyways. But it just gives me chills. Right from the very beginning, we know that even people who hate this movie understand and know that the banter between the turtles here is pretty good. I mean, no, it's not pretty good. It's fucking exceptional. It's just, you know, we have the four turtles, iconic, right? Donatello, Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and everything that they say goes along with who they are, right? I mean, these are literally archetypes, and it's literally almost the equivalent of being like, hey, what's your horoscope, right? Like, hey, what's your turtle? What's your favorite turtle, right? Drop down in the comment section below what turtle you think I am. But and your favorite turtle, of course. But everything that they say goes along with their character, right? But also, the dialogue, I think, is really expertly written between all four turtles, so the way they interact with each other, not just what comes out of them individually. Specifically, we see it here when she's waking up, and she's like, you know, who are you guys or whatever, and then Leo says, we're ninjas. It makes sense why he would say ninjas, and then I believe Raphael says mutants, you know, kind of in an angry, kind of, you know, he's kind of in a jaded way, like he's almost ashamed of who he is, you know, because he thinks he's an outcast, and you see it later in the movie how he does think of himself as that, and that's a bigger part of his arc, which is brilliant. This is what I'm saying, like, the plot, the story is not necessarily the best, but there's things in this script, in the way that it's written, that is really brilliant, and some of these arcs for these characters are phenomenal. And then we have, Donatello, of course, being the sort of more technical one, the smarter one. He's like, well, technically we're turtles. And then, of course, Michelangelo, he says, well, we are teenagers. Of course, he says teenagers. So that was brilliant to attribute one part of their name, right, the name that we all know, to each of the turtles. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. That's like the best part right there, just script-wise in this whole fucking movie. Then we have, of course, you know, she wakes up and she gets up and she's like, so you're a mutant turtle ninjas or whatever, like, and she says it in like a weird order, and then that's when Donatello's is like, and it was kind of stupid, I'm not gonna lie. But then Donatello does address how stupid it sounds, and he's like, well, you know, saying it like that is kind of dumb. And it's true. So I like how the movie's a little bit self-aware, having her say that in that way. I mean, I guess it's realistic, right? An adult would never say it in the correct order. They would mix it up, right? So I guess it makes sense. But I absolutely love it. And this whole scene, we have to understand, this is the first time we see the turtles. For like, you know, 20 minutes of the movie or so, we're seeing shadows of the turtles. We're seeing like they're vigilantes, like Batman. We don't really see them, but we know that they're there, but we don't really see them exactly because they don't want to be seen, right? But this is the first time we actually see them, and everything in this scene aligns with that moment, because as the audience, we went to go see a movie that is on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the fact that we don't see them for, you know, about 20 minutes or 15 minutes into the film, we're waiting. We are salivating to see these turtles, and we finally see them, and it's so incredibly rewarding, and they definitely make this scene all worth it. But the turtles, they're huge, you know, they're and that's something that people hated, of course, how big they were, how muscular they were. I guess it made sense, you know, and because if you had to make the turtles that way, you had to make everything else huge, which is why Shredder looked the way he did, and why the Foot Clan weren't just ninjas, they had guns. So everything was just kind of aggrandized, and it's the Michael Baying of this movie. But I don't necessarily have a huge problem with it. I think it's a cool aspect to have these. They're mutants. I mean, they're kind of monsters, you know, in a way, like the original, you know, 1990s one. It was live action. They were wearing suits. It was kind of comedic, but they were human. They were human sized. You know, I mean, they're still weird. But like, I think this movie really, really banks on the mutant aspect, and I really like that. I think it makes the movie much more science fiction-y and much more edgy. But yeah, I mean, it's a very startling thing. I mean, imagine if you're April O'Neil and you're seeing these living, breathing, talking turtles, and they look like this. I mean, it's insane, and I think the movie really plays into that, while also giving so much space and giving so much love to the mythology and the beauty of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and kind of this divine nature of them, and how there are these vigilantes, right? Kind of the way that we see Batman, right? We see him as this kind of angelic black figure, right? This black angel, you know, where it's like he's edgy and he's dark, but there's something really beautiful and hopeful about him. In the same way, that's what we see here with the Turtles, specifically where they're calling each other their names, and April is repeating them. And, you know, they say it in a very, you know, artsy way, like, you know, even the way Leonardo says, you know, we're on the move, Raphael. You know, like, just the way he says it is so cool, you know, because the names are fucking cool. They're Renaissance names, so they're awesome. They sound beautiful. And when that happens, you have this kind of really cool, you know, small sequence of Raphael just kind of using his size, you know, kind of being introduced to us, right? And, you know, Leonardo's introduced a little bit beforehand in this scene. It's really brilliant. It gives me chills, and the music is so perfect in this scene. And then we have the comedic moments of Michelangelo in this film. Just amazing. So incredibly funny. I mean, so many people love Michelangelo, right? And in this film, I don't think you're going to be disappointed if you love him, because he has some great comedic moments. And my favorite, of course, is when he's like, yeah, we'll find you. And then he's like, that was kind of creepy. I fucking love that. And also, I think it's interesting, you know, obviously we know that the TMNT, you know, has always been catered towards the male audience. We know that, to boys and stuff like that. So April has always been sort of a love interest for all the boys, right? Watching this film, not just the Turtles. But actually, when I mean by that, I mean it's true. Like the Turtles are sort of are the boys, right? Are the male audience. Michelangelo, it makes sense why he does have this, you know, weird attraction to April. But it is kind of weird, but it makes sense. You know, they're turtles, and they're interested in the people that don't look like them, right? I think they're allured by that. So you have April O'Neil here, played by Megan Fox, and of course, and it's Michael Bay, and there's a few things in this movie that really, like, they tickle that monster a little bit too much, if you know what I mean. You know, where you have one of the characters played by Will Arnett really kind of crushing on her, and it's like, it's baggage from 2014 when we were doing flirtation and like really like, you know, salivating over hot women in movies in like the most, you know, surface level ways. I'll just put it that way. And I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's 2014 and it's Michael Bay and Megan Fox was in Transformers, so it makes sense, and we know how that was. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of it. But when the Turtles are doing it, I think it's cute. I think it's interesting. I think it's funny. But yeah, amazing comedy here. I think it's hilarious. Really, it's when Leonardo's like, you know, we will find you, April O'Neil. I think that's so cool. It's just so fucking cool. Just them kind of, you know, for the first time in this film, right, kind of seeing each other and recognizing each other, who they are. I mean, these staple characters in this mythos, April and Turtles. And then they start running away, right? They're like, we'll find you, don't fucking look for us, whatever, right? Don't tell anyone, you know? And so they start booking it, and the music kicks in, and they're running, and they're jumping over the rooftops, and that's when this movie becomes legendary to me. I mean, I'm serious. It just, it gives me so much chills just to see them do their acrobatics, do their parkour, just being the Turtles that we love. And, you know, their whoos and their ha's and their screams and their banter, you know, while they're hopping through the rooftops. I mean, they're having a great time, and I just can't help but smile. It's brilliant. It really lights my little boy heart, you know, I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm a little boy, okay, when I see this fucking movie. In this particular scene, it just makes me smile. It makes me want to go out and jump into rooftops. It makes me want to punch things. You know, it's beautiful. And, you know, and the moon and the night and, you know, TMNT just, you know, they really shine really during the daytime, but specifically more in the night, because that's where their origins are, right? It just looks beautiful, and them going down through the sewers, and just the way every Turtles is animated here in this scene. You know, once Donatello is using a shell to slide around the sewer, Michelangelo has his skateboard, which is really cool. Just so cool, and Leonardo and Raphael are just doing their parkour stuff. It's brilliant, and I don't know, just a simple, you know, just seeing them maneuver around, and the music's so great, and it pumps me up, man. It really does. I just love right when they're like when the scene is about to end and you hear like one of them just kind of go like, you know, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. Okay. That's what I would fucking do if I could do that shit. It's just epic. And then of course it sort of ends with with a butt fart joke, sort of, with them. I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's great comedic timing there. This epic ass scene where they're like, so fluid in their movements, and then they all like fucking go into the hole together and they get stuck. It's brilliant. But as you can see, I really, really, really love this scene. So there we have it. Those are my thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014, specifically this scene, the best scene from the film. And trust me, there are other great scenes in this film. I could have used any other fight scene, any other fight sequence in this movie as a best scene, but this one I think really is the one that gives me chills, and really the one that makes the Turtles, these kind of mythical characters, not just fun characters for kids. It makes them like superheroes. I'm curious to know what you think. Do you like this movie? Do you hate this movie? Do you love Michael Bay? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite turtle, of course. Like this video if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe, of course, to the channel if you enjoy this content. Or if you hate me, then unsubscribe, of course. Don't do that. Or do that. Or don't do that. Or do that. Share with your TMNT loving friends, if you will. And if you've seen the new movie, the new animated TMNT Mutant Mayhem in theaters, and let me know if you liked it or not liked it. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you, you beautiful creature. But I think that's it. That's it for me. You all take care, stay safe, and until next time, I love you.
Oh, Mikey, was that you?
Pepperoni.